Hi, Sandra. How you doing?
Good, how are
Thank you
you?
for taking part in this. I really appreciate you taking part of this interview process for Mohawk College, and for helping me out. I really appreciate that.
No
How
problem.
how you doing? Okay.
Not too
Yeah.
bad, thanks.
Everything all right?
Yeah.
Good. So before we get started on everything, we have an official consent form that we use before any people volunteer for the interview process, and what it basically is saying right here is this is the official consent form dated today, which is Saturday, July 24th, 2021, and it's for use for educational purposes only through Mohawk College of Applied Arts and Technology. So it's just the review of the consent form, and what it basically is saying is this is completely voluntary, and at any point, this is a videotaped exercise. So at any point you feel that you need that need be, you have complete freedom to terminate the video recording.
Okay.
So and also even though I'm a student, I still have supervisors, and if anything is disclosed, such as self harm or threats made to a service provider or abuse to children under the age of 16, I have a legal obligation to report that to my supervisors. And
Okay.
just to make that clear.
Yep.
So this is with your consent. This interview will be recorded for educational purposes only. I thought I'd just reiterate that again. So over this is a 35 to 40 minute exercise, and if you can, just it's today's date, the July 24th, and if you can just sign here.
Perfect. There you go.
Thank you very much, and I'll sign my part as the student interviewer. Okay, excellent. That's out of the way. Okay, so thank you for coming first of all, and welcome to this exercise. I'm Enrico, and I'll be the interviewer, and so yeah, we talked last time, Sandra, about we spoke last time, and we did a 20-minute interview before regarding your experience as a child in a military family, and you were and your travels and your adventures with your family, and stories and experiences you would never forget.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so we found that now that your father has passed on, my condolences again.
Thank you.
And so and now this is your family life is in a different transition now in their life. Would you be able to tell me some about that?
Yes, so my father passed away 4 years ago this September.
Okay.
And for my siblings and I'm the youngest of five.
Yes.
We're going through the transitional stage now of our mom no longer being able to live by herself.
Okay.
So we've started in the process in May of getting her house that she shared with my dad for 30 years ready to sell, and
Okay.
packed up, and,
Okay.
and getting her ready to move out west to live with my middle sister.
Oh wow, that's a big transition right there. It must be your mom must be you and your this must be just a nervous time for everybody right now.
If I'm completely honest, yeah, it's been a roller coaster of emotions. I'm the youngest, and normally you'd think in a family of five children, the responsibility would generally fall to the oldest child. Unfortunately, in my family, that's not how it's been. It's normally been me, and such is the case with this situation. Um, it's it's been a rough couple of months getting everything ready, and I've been dealing with some anxiety, some stress, some separation anxiety, knowing that even though my mom and I don't have the best of relationships, she's no longer going to be living just a few hours away from me. She's going to be halfway across the country. So it's definitely been an up and down roller coaster of emotions.
It does sound like that. So on one hand, you're pretty. You sound like from what I'm gathering right now, your mother is she's ready to move out west, and so she's how old's your mother right now?
My mom will be turning 79 in August. Yeah.
So now it's 79. It's also it's a big transition for her right now, but especially with do you feel a lot of the weight's being put on you right now?
Unfortunately, yeah, I do. It hasn't, like I said, it hasn't been the easiest couple of months. The beginning of July, she was actually supposed to move out west, and unfortunately, at the beginning of June, she ended up in hospital, and she's still currently there. So the sale of the house had to be taken care of here by myself and my oldest brother, and then the purchase of the new house out west was again myself and my oldest brother, and partially my sister that she's going to be moving in with there. And it's just been, like I said, like again, I'm going back to that analogy of the roller coaster of emotions. It's been really hard because my father, he always took care of everything.
Mm-hmm.
My mom never had to worry about the financials, the banking, the mortgage, selling or buying houses, canceling or renewing bills or anything like that. So a lot of that responsibility, I'd say probably 95% of it, for the finer detail stuff has fallen on my shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
And then making sure she's okay as well, and then checking in with my siblings, and still having my life aside from things with the family running normally, and still being an aware and alert and attentive single mom to my son.
Yes.
It's been a ride.
Wow. I just sitting here hearing this, I'm not involved with this, but I feel like I'm getting overwhelmed just hearing all this about just the amount of it's almost like somebody's saying, here, let me just take this off my chest and I'll put it on your shoulders.
Yes.
Is that almost what it feels like?
It definitely does, yeah. Because like I said, my father took care of everything from my mom. I mean, he took care of everything for all of us, but my mom was very much the quintessential housewife, I guess you could say. She did go out to work from time to time when we were all younger, but essentially she was able to stay home. She didn't need to work, and she was able to go for coffee with her friends and excuse me, do what she wanted, be involved in the hobbies that she wanted to, because everything that's behind the scenes that kept the home running financially was taken care of by my dad. Like, she did the housewifey thing, shall we say, like cooking dinner and cleaning and things like that. But all of those essential things that keep your home running have now fallen onto me with the move, and prior to that onto me and my brother for the past 4 years that she's been without my dad. So it's been interesting, trying to get information from her on what's the password for this, or what's the account number for that, who do you have for this provider or that provider, and her not really knowing and having to dig through years of bills and trying to find the most current bill
Mm-hmm.
to cancel utilities and internet and things like that, and insurance, and it's been and then, like I said, her ending up in the hospital on top of that has really added to it all. And I don't live in the same city as my mom. She does live up north, and I'm about an hour and 45 minutes away. So the additional stress of traveling, to have to get up there to see her, to do the things that needed to be done for the house, to go to lawyers for her, having to drag my 13-year-old son along with me, who, there's no friends for him up that way.
Oh.
And, Nana and Pops' house, when Nana and Pops aren't there, it's no fun, right? It's just the shell of a house, and you're there with Mom. It's just a different environment. So it's been interesting. I mean, I have a great support system, which has helped, but I have had a few times over the last few months where I've just been completely overwhelmed, on the cusp, I would say, of experiencing a few health problems myself because of the stress.
Oh.
And I'm really reached that level of,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I'm ready to turn my back and walk away, but it's family and you don't do that. So
Yes. So you say you're having some you're experiencing a little bit of health problems resulting from some of the stress.
Mhm.
Are they being taken care of right now as we speak?
I am dealing with them mainly on my own, so it's a bit of anxiety, occasional panic attacks, um, home monitoring of my blood pressure and things like that to make sure that everything's staying in the levels where it should be. So I'm not essentially under a doctor's care right now, but I do have a medical practitioner who's aware of the situation.
Okay,
So.
that's good. As long as you're being taken care of, that's
Mhm.
okay. So it's it's very important to take care of your physical and mental health, but yeah, especially your physical health. Now your son, how is he dealing with this whole thing?
He's been indifferent to it up to this point. My mom is. I love my mom. Don't get me wrong, um, but my mom is about my mom, and he's kind of been indifferent the last few years, even to going to visit his nana. Um, it's more all about what she wants and how she wants to do things. And since my father's passed away, she's gone into a depression, which we all recognize, and we've tried to get her help and tried to get her for counseling as well, but she refuses. She insists that there's nothing wrong, but she's had severe health decline since my father passed away.
Okay.
She's almost immobile. She's gained a lot of weight. She's not taking care of herself physically or mentally the way she should be. So when you go to visit, it's not like you typically think of going to visit your parents or taking your kids to visit their grandparents, where it's a happy, interactive time. It's more of a chore. So.
Oh, I can't tell you how sorry I am to hear about that. I mean, it sounds like you have a lot on your plate right now. So, it sounds like from what you were telling me, your father was really the glue that held the family together. And when his passing, it's really sounded like when his passing happened, things really started to fall apart, and it really started to really come to light. And you look like and and by looking at this really means a lot to you. And your father was a big part of your life. And feel free, and here, I have some Kleenex here if you want some.
Thank you.
There you go. Okay. So can you? So your mother? You said your mother's in the hospital right now.
Yes.
Okay. And what's her on a scale of 1 to 10 right now? 10 being the best. What do you think her recovery is? Right? How her recovery is going right now?
I would probably put it between a 3 and a 4.
3 or 4.
She's not very proactive in what's the word I'm looking for? Gaining information about her own rehabilitation and information that she needs to know about her recovery. She enjoys, as we all do, being looked after, but at the same time she has to be proactive in her own rehabilitation, and it's really not the case right now. I mean, she's been in the hospital now for almost 2 months.
Wow.
As I said, she was supposed to originally move from Ontario on July 6th, and we're coming into the end of July now. Pardon me. And she's still in hospital with no date in sight of when she may be released and be able to make her move.
Wow. It's just even so from everything stemming from even. You think this whole thing? When did this whole thing start? Roughly about a month or two ago.
The process of her deciding to make the move
Yes.
started at the beginning of May.
Yes.
And then beginning of June 8th, she went into the hospital. The original reason for her going into the hospital is not why she's still there. While she was there, other things were detected, and that's why she's still in the hospital. So.
And what a time to be in the hospital right now with COVID and just the restrictions right now. And I can't imagine what mentally, there must be a million things running through your head right now.
That's really difficult as well, because with the restrictions with COVID, I mean, I understand, like I get her point of view. She's lonely, and she wants to see family, and she wants company.
Yes.
Being 3.5 hours away from her.
Yes.
With nowhere to stay in the city where she now lives because her home is sold. For me to be able to go and visit her with the restrictions, I'm only allowed to stay for an hour. I have to make an appointment the day prior for a specific time, and I have to be there at that time to check into the hospital, and I only have the hour. So to drive 3.5 hours for a 1 hour visit, it's a lot on me mentally and physically. And when my son is with me and not with his father, it's a lot on him as well, because then it's, well, what do I do with him so I can go see my mother?
Yes.
She has gotten mad at me a few times over the past few weeks because I haven't made that drive to go see her. I've tried to make her understand that, Mom, it's a lot for a 1 hour visit. Even if my son is not with me, it's still a lot for a 1 hour visit. Like the stress of driving through Toronto and driving 3.5 hours on your own. And, it's draining mentally, physically. And then being there and seeing her in the state that she's in, that adds to it. And then the anxiety of, how much longer is this going to be? Is she getting any better? Trying to talk to the doctors and nurses and get straight answers. Mm-hmm. And then having 4 siblings calling me, asking for the information to be relayed. It's overwhelming.
So your siblings are calling you on a regular basis?
Yes, yeah. They tend to, 2 of them tend to call me to get information. Rather than calling our mom, because the relationship between them and our mother it's virtually non-existent and not healthy. So
that's not a great thing to hear.
No.
So but everything. So from what I'm hearing right now, this whole thing got rolling about a couple of months ago when your mother is going to decide to sell the house and move out west.
Yes.
And so, but it just so happens that. And you are basically doing all the work, all the paperwork, all of the straightening. You're the go-to person for everything when it comes to people and when it comes to canceling services. Mm-hmm. And so, am I getting this right so far?
Yeah, as her power of attorney, a lot of that does lie on my shoulders, as I said, and with one of my siblings, like I said, that's here in the province. They don't have a relationship, so it's fallen into my lap. And then my oldest brother, again, they don't have much of a relationship either, and he's here in province, actually in the same city as her. So 3 of us here out of the 5, I'm the only one that really has a relationship with her. So a lot of it has, as I said before, 90%, 95% of the responsibility has fallen upon my shoulders.
Wow. Do you think it's just circumstance that just happened? Or?
It's circumstance as it happens now, but it's been over time. My mom wasn't the easiest person to deal with growing up. Yes. We all have our skeletons in the closet, so to speak. With my dad being in the military, he was away a lot.
Yes.
So there was always, when Dad was away, there was always the underlying, well, when your dad gets home, if we didn't listen. And as children, you take that to heart, and so you do what you're told. And you follow through because you don't want the wrath of Dad when he does get home, right? It could be 6 months, but still in the back of your head, Mom's going to remember that thing that happened on day 2, and when Dad gets home, goodness help me. That never ever happened. My dad would slough it off, and his typical response to my mom would be, "Oh, just leave it alone, woman, they're kids." But in the interim, while he was gone, and I can understand from her point of view too, it's hard raising, all 5 of us were only ever at home for 3 years, at any point during our lives.
Yes.
Other than that, there would be, generally it was mostly 3 of us that were at home at the one time. But raising 3 children on your own, one a teenager, one a preteen, and one, basically I was a toddler because of the age differences.
Yes.
It can be stressful, but unfortunately my mom took that out in ways that caused lifelong trauma for each of us in our own ways. So
lifelong trauma.
Yeah, I don't know how I would put that into words. Kind of just basically like the fear of if you don't do it her way and you don't do it right, there's a punishment that's going to be coming. Like whether you're grounded or wooden spoon was flying across the kitchen towards you because you had upset her that much. So you just did what you were told, and you did it to the best of your ability to avoid that. But for all of us, and my older siblings probably more than me because there's so many years difference between us, that stuck with them. And they don't talk a lot about things that happened to them when they were younger between
Yes.
them and my mom.
Yes.
But I know for them there is as well. There's that underlying, and that affects their relationship with my mother.
Oh,
now.
absolutely. Well, it would.
Yeah.
So basically, what you're saying is, when your experience with your mom was, it's either my way or the highway. Is basically what it was.
Essentially, yeah. And my dad was the one that would smooth things over. Like, even being in the military where he could be away for 6 months at a time, like I said. When he was home, he was the peacekeeper. Like, you knew if he growled at you, so to speak, like, Sandra Bernice, I'd get my full name. It was like, okay, I gotta straighten up and fly right. But he usually kept things smoothed over, and he was the glue, as you said earlier, that held the family together. And it's been hard keeping it together since he passed.
Yes.
And, yeah.
Now, seeing you talk about your father like this, talking about your mother and then talking about your father, you go back to your father once in a while, your face just lights up when you talk about your father. I see that, you know. And when you talk about your mother, it's a different story, you know. When your mother actually recovers from the hospital, whenever that is, and when she actually does make the move out to out west,
Mm-hmm.
how do you think how do you think it'll make you? How do you think your relationship will be? Will it be the same?
I don't think it will be. Selfishly, part of me is anxious for the time to come when she's released from hospital and she can make that move, and the additional responsibility that's put on me on that side of my life will be I can't say it'll be removed, it'll be lessened.
Yes.
Because she'll be living out there with my sister, and that will become mainly her responsibility. I know that I still have to assist my sister as much as I can because I know a lot of the stuff, and thank you, I still have the other tissue.
It's gotta be sure.
I know a lot of her information. I'll be able to relay that to my sister. But on the other hand, even though, you know, I have my personal issues with my mom, and deal with them in my way, I'm gonna miss her. It's not gonna be the same not being able to, you know, hop in the car, put my son in the car, put the dog in the car, and just drive up the highway and go see her and spend the weekend or whatever.
Yes.
She's going to be a 4.5 hour plane ride, 5 hour plane ride away. So, you know, mixed emotions. I'm glad that she's made this step. I'm glad that she's chosen to go out west and live with my sister versus going into a retirement home or a nursing home or whatever name you want to give it.
Yes.
Because it's going to be better for her to be surrounded by family. My sister has 3 children. My 2 oldest nieces have children of their own. So, I mean, she's going to have her grandchildren and her great-grandchildren around her. She has lots of friends from our military life that live in the area as well as nieces and nephews of her own that are in Alberta, not too far from my sister. So she's going to be inundated with family, whereas here, you know, it was sporadic. She would see us, but as far as my other siblings, it was very sporadic. So, I mean, that's going to be, I hope, an amazing change for her. But then I think I'm going to be here, and it's just going to be me and my son. So
what I'm gathering here now is that even though you've gone through so much in even from the last 2 months when all this started rolling,
mm-hmm.
you're the executor pretty much of, you know, you're taking care of business really.
Yes.
And so and you've been busy every day. You're in school. You have your son to take care of, and you're juggling all this, and and sometimes with everybody there's a little bit of resentment, you know. And so even though you're towing the line most of the time, in one hand, but on the other hand, when it actually comes time for her to leave, you're gonna miss her.
Yes. And
so it just goes to show you there is that inner bond between you and your mother. There really is that inner core bond. It's going to tug at your heartstrings.
Yeah.
So for me, that's really good to see, though. I mean, do you think things will? And it sounds like, from what you're telling me, she'll have her grandchildren, her great grandchildren, her sister and son-in-law out west to be around. you think this will be a much better change for her and you when she moves?
I definitely think it's going to be a much better change for her. I mean, she's been living the last 4 years alone in the house that she shared with my dad. But as I said before, my oldest brother lives in the same city, but he's a bachelor and enjoys life and, doesn't want to be tied down per se to having to take care of our mom. So, I mean, where he would stop by 3-4 times a week, take her for her groceries, things like that, it's not the same as constantly having family around.
Yes.
My son and I, prior to COVID, we'd go up at least twice a month on the weekends to see her, spend the weekend with her. But again, it's not the same as constantly being surrounded by family. She's going to be physically living with my sister and my nephew and my brother-in-law. So I definitely think it's going to improve her quality of life. I do think once she's been there for a while and she gets used to the new living situation, it is going to improve her relationship with me and my siblings. Because she's going to be able to see things in a different light.
Yes.
She's going to be able to sit back herself and reevaluate what the past 4 years have been like for her,
Yes.
being by herself. And maybe she'll be able to identify that she has been going through a depression. I mean, it's hard for any of us to admit that we're not at the top of our game.
Oh, absolutely.
It's difficult for me to sit here with you and admit to you that I've been having anxiety for various reasons over everything that's happened in the past few months, over her moving. You don't want to admit that you have a weakness, but I think it's going to help her to improve who she is and her own quality of life. And me having gone through this with her in the past few months, it's helped me to realize that I'm not invincible. I do have a breaking point.
Yes.
I do learn to need to say no. I am by nature that mothering type. I want to help. I want to fix. I want to do what I can. And saying, sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. Take your time.
Saying no when I think I can help someone is very difficult for me. And even if it means I have to sacrifice myself to help somebody else, I'm a nurturer. It's who I am. And I'll do it.
So it sounds.
And I'll pick up my pieces later on, right? So
it sounds to me that you'll never put yourself before any of the people you love. You'll never put yourself before anybody. You have that help. It sounds to me you have that helping nature, and just by seeing this, you're so passionate about it that you'll keep even the worst circumstances, you'll keep doing it. You'll keep helping people no matter what. And that's a huge characteristic to have. It's a wonderful trait.
Thank you.
So now, when it's raining outside. It's crazy. Where did this come from?
Sorry, I got distracted.
No, don't be sorry. No, a little distraction is good. I think this is telling us something. This is a change. This is a good change. So I think and the most important thing right now is when your mother is almost there, and it's also taking time for you. Am I right? It's taking care of yourself now.
I forget that quite often. I forget to sit back and do that self-care.
What would it take for you said before you have a good social circle, very supportive. Now, what do you think is a good thing for you that you would truly take care of yourself? That would really make you happy, even if it's for maybe a day.
That's a really good question, because I never do that. I never sit back and think, what do I want? It's always, what does my mom need? Do my siblings need anything? What does my son need? What does the dog need? What do I need to do around the house? What do I need to do for school? I never take that time to sit back and say, well, wait a minute, what do I need? I have recently started back to the gym now that we're allowed.
Excellent.
And that's me time. Right now, that's my me time. It's hard for me to give myself that time. to, you know, step away from everybody else and say, okay, no, this hour and a half, whatever, it's for me. And I know in my subconscious, yeah, that's okay. You're allowed to do that. You're allowed to have time for you.
Mm-hmm.
But the minute I step out of the gym, right away, my wheels start spinning. Well, I never
Yes.
called my mother this morning. Well, you know, okay, my son was sleeping when I left home. He knows I went to the gym, but is everything okay? Like, everything just starts up again. So,
So I was hearing this now. It sounds like you're to take care of yourself. You love going to the gym, and you can't. And when everything opened up, it was like, yay! All right, gym time is me time. You know, you just get that stress out, and you got the stress out, and you showered. But then you're on your own, and you're coming back home. The hamster wheel starts turning
it starts
again,
going again.
and you
Yes.
start thinking about mom and Cole and what I have to do. So on a, what do you think that? Well, what do you think you could do to when you when do you normally catch yourself doing that? Is it right after the gym or is it in the car?
All the time.
It's all the time. Okay. That's an honest answer. That's good.
Yeah.
Now, do you normally, and if you catch it, do you normally tell yourself, okay? Is it now? It's easy to get caught off guard, and the snowball effect starts happening, and because it does happen to me.
Mhm.
So, would it be helpful to set a reminder for yourself? Oh, there we go again. Okay, let's just maybe. Would it be a good idea to stop the car and maybe count to 10, or even count backwards from 10 to 1, and just try and recenter yourself, even if it's for 10 seconds before driving?
I don't find that I get so distracted that I would have to stop driving. It's just more a matter of telling myself internally, it's still going to be there when you get home. It's still going to be there in a few hours. You don't need to jump on everything and fix everything right in this moment. It's like I've said to someone who's very important to me in my life many times, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
Yes.
And I'm very good at giving that advice to others. I'm just not very good at utilizing it myself, which is what has created the anxiety and the occasional panic attacks. And so I have to learn to take my own advice. And when that hamster wheel starts spinning and it's not the appropriate time for it to be spinning, like when I'm driving, just to tell myself it's okay. It's still going to be there in 10 minutes when I get home. Tomorrow if I don't get to it today. Next week if I don't get to it this week. Everything is going to happen in the time that it needs to happen.
Yes. It sounds like you have a good grip on. You're very aware of your emotions. You've been telling me this, and even at the time when it does happen, you sound like you are very aware when it does happen. So you sound like you have a good handle on it. Now, from 1 to 10, 1 being okay, yeah, I don't want to go anywhere right now, to 10 to yeah, I got this, no problem. Where do you think you are when that happens?
Some days I would say I'm like a 3, and I just want to curl up on the couch and turn off the phone and ignore the entire world.
Mm-hmm.
But most days I'd say I'm an 8. You know, I can still tackle my everyday life and be able to do the additional things on top of it, and that plays back into my support system that I have outside of my family, my friends and my partner. And
that's amazing to hear. Even just telling me that reassurance that, you know, I've got, even though things are going well right now, I've got backup. I have people in my life that
Yes.
can rely on me, where most people don't really look at that.
Yeah.
You know, they forget that. But it sounds like you're well aware of your surroundings.
yeah,
That's
where I can't take that time in front of my family to break down, shall we say, or to get upset, or to throw my hands up in frustration and just yell a really bad word at them. I can do that with my friends, and I can do that with my partner, and I can just say I've had enough. Like I need to walk away, and they allow me to do that. They give me that space. They give me that support, and it took me a long time to find that, but I do have it, and it really helps as well. And it's helped me to be more centered and to deal with everything that comes at me on a daily basis, especially in the last few months.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the last few months have been pretty much a roller coaster, and it sounds like you're still kind of, you're not quite out of it yet, but it sounds like it's coming to an end.
Yeah, it's almost like it's stuck at the top of that last hill and it just can't until my mom's out of the hospital. It's like the roller coaster just can't get over the hill, and once that happens and she's, like I said, she's out west and she's settled, and I think then with that part of it all being done, I'll be able to really focus on me and getting myself back to where I need to be. So
That sounds like it's when this actually happens, and when it kind of does peak over it, and the roller coaster does actually start to actually go into its fun mode. It sounds like it's a win-win-win for everybody.
Yes.
From what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm hoping. Yeah,
You know,
I'm
it's
very
your mother-
very positive.
Your mother looks like her health will improve once she's with your sister,
Mhm.
and you'll get on with your life. Now, what do you have to look forward to right now, after in the next month or two?
Starting back to school in September.
Oh, amazing! What are you taking?
From my second year of the paralegal program, actually at Mohawk.
Oh, great!
Very excited to get back into class for that. Didn't think I would ever say that as a teenager. My son's going into grade 8, so looking forward to that last year of the public school life, and kind of still a little guy, not quite a teenager, still rely on mom.
Yes.
And then, really just whatever life sends our way, and just making the most of what we have together.
Two great big things. Your face just glowed like the sun, almost like the sun when you were talking about school and your son. Your son, you'll always be. It sounds like he is just the light of your life.
He is.
He sounds like it, but even school sounds like, even going into your second year, it sounds like a huge accomplishment, and you're looking forward to the challenge.
I definitely am, and that's, ultimately that's for him. I'm bettering myself by going back to school to start on a new career path, even though I'm in my mid-40s, for his benefit, so that he and I can live our best possible life.
I think it's almost telling us that we're almost out of time. She's our little. Even though this is unedited, she's like, we're not going to edit this one out. Okay. Okay. Sandra, this is pretty much almost the end of our time here, and I want to just recap everything we talked about. She's okay. She's all right. She's going to be fine. We just to recap everything we talked about, the challenges you've had in the last couple of months with your mother. She won't let this go. We talked about the challenges, about the ups and downs with your mother, and all the mishaps with the red tape, and the challenges your mother had going into the hospital. She's still there, but she's on the up and up.
Yes.
And we talked about the good things that will happen when she moves out west, and when she does move out, and even the better relationship with yourself and your mom, and hopefully things will start to really shine through, even with your siblings too.
Yes.
And especially and we talked about what's going to happen with going back to school. These all, and your son's in grade 8, going into grade 9 next year too.
Yeah.
And not this year, but next year, and then high school, and then these high school years, they fly. So these are all huge things. These are only great things are going to happen to you from here on in. But the thing is, with what you've endeavored in the last couple of months, and what you're going through right now, and what you're going to be looking forward to, it's 1 in 100,000 people. You're shining.
Thank you.
You have no idea how much of a strength that shows. I mean, just you taking care of everybody else, and you're taking care of you, and you've made the choice. But even though, I noticed you stressed. Well, even though I'm in my mid-40s, a lot of people are in their mid-50s to 60s are going back to school too. And the good thing is about that, the older you get, the more experience you have.
Yes.
And you think differently when you're older.
Yeah, definitely.
And I refuse to use the word older. I think more experience is the more common, better choice of words. So, but all this, it shows great strength in you, and I think it's coming to the end of our time here, and what a great way to sum everything up. So I wanted to, on behalf of Mohawk College and the Social Service Worker Program, I want to thank you very, very much for volunteering and for disclosing all this wonderful information that even the strengths you're showing, and I wanted to thank you very much. And I can't I couldn't tell you how much I appreciate everything.
Thank you. It was
Okay.
my pleasure.
Thank you very much.